On February 25th, the member for Scarborough Southwest and the Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of Justice answered a question of mine where I pointed out what I thought was confusion that Canadians were experiencing about the status of the government's policy on marijuana reform. And I want to point out his answer to my question. He said, quote, "We want to remind all Canadians that until that important work is completed, the only control that's in place is the current criminal sanctions for the production and trafficking of marijuana, and those laws remain in effect," close quote. Of course, the member is an expert on this topic, so we know it was a slip of his tongue when he forgot that the word possession should have been included amongst the remaining criminal sanctions for marijuana. I acknowledge that. But, Mr. Speaker, it's time for the government to stop denying that there is indeed confusion amongst Canadians about the current legal status of marijuana and about the government's intentions. The Parliamentary Secretary and I sit together in the Justice Committee. In that committee, we've also learned that the government may spend, Mr. Speaker, up to $4 million this year alone prosecuting simple possession cases. Who knows how much more the provinces, who of course are responsible for the administration of justice and pay Crown Counsel and have courtrooms available with judges and the like, how much they're spending for prosecuting possession of marijuana. And what needs to be said is they're spending this money despite the government's promise to legalize marijuana and despite what we hear is a growing concern from judges regarding the continued prosecutions for marijuana. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we've obtained from the Director of Public Prosecutions the recent case of Regina and Racine from the Ontario Court of Justice, in which the Honourable Justice Selkirk refused to accept a guilty plea for possession of marijuana. This is the court transcript of what Mr. Justice Sinclair's remarks were in February 2015, and I quote, "I recall distinctly the Prime Minister in the House of Commons saying it's going to be legalized. I'm not going to be the last judge in this country to convict somebody for simple possession of marijuana. You can't have the Prime Minister announcing it's going to be legalized and then stand up and prosecute. It just can't happen. It's ludicrous situation. Ludicrous." Close quote. That's not me speaking. That's a justice of the Ontario Court of Justice. By all means, Mr. Speaker, the government must take the time to craft a responsible framework for legalization, but don't ask ordinary Canadians to keep paying the price. So my question is a simple one. Why does the government refuse to take the common sense step of immediately decriminalizing simple possession of marijuana?